God says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. God says, the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life, of whom shall I be afraid? God says, be still, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations, I will be exalted in the earth. God says, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. God says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. God says, do not be afraid, for I am with you, do not be dismayed. For I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. God says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. God says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. God says, cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. God says, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases, his mercies never come to an end, they are new every morning, great is your faithfulness. God says, the Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you, in his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. God says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. God says, even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you, I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. God says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. God says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, they will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. God says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. God says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. God says, the Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. God says, the Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still. God says, I have told you these things, so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. God says, for the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. God says, the name of the Lord is a fortified tower, the righteous run to it and are safe. God says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. God says, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. God says, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. God says, the Lord is my strength and my defense, he has become my salvation. God says, the Lord is good to those whose hope is in him, to the one who seeks him. God says, I can do all this through him who gives me strength. God says, the Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. God says, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. God says, the Lord your God is with you. He is mighty to save. He will take great delight in you. He will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing.